and how to grow the exports through agriculture, what is our role, and then conclusion. In terms of the spirit of this presentation, I will necessarily have bias for agriculture because I know NEXIM's spectrum of engagement is beyond agriculture, including soil minerals and other things. But we are designed for agriculture, and I think that is why you find millions of Nigerians and Deltas involved. So I think I'm in a very familiar ground when I concentrate on agriculture. So I don't want to belabor you much. I'm sure the MD of NEXIM Bank would have spoken a lot about the situation of export in Nigeria, as you can see on that slide. Suffice it to say that in spite of all the efforts in terms of diversifying the export potentials of Nigeria, agricultural exports, even though it's the only non-oil export class growing consistently since 2016, contributed only 25% to non-oil exports, but a mere 1.63% of total exports in 2018. That should not be the case, because if we say Nigeria is an agricultural economy, why should agricultural export contribute only a very low single digit, when we know some countries in East Africa have contributions of nearly 40%, 30 to 40% of agricultural contribution to exports. That has to change, and the change should start from here and today. The other background you need to know, if you see those bars, you could see manufacturing had been the biggest in terms of non-oil exports, okay? But if you look at agriculture, the green one on top there, you could see that it started from 0.053 2016, 0.068, then 0.254. Now, that shows that this sector, you could see how the green is expanding. If we do our homework very well, agricultural export will likely in due course become just like the blue, manufacturing, and that is going to be our target. So now, how do we grow Nigeria's non-oil export through agriculture? And I'm sure over 90% of the audience in this room, one way or another, have something to do with agriculture, or they would like to take advantage of the financing opportunity from NEXIM so that they can get involved in exports through agriculture. Now, what do we have in Nigeria that makes this possible? We all know we have sufficient land, we know we have sufficient water, we have labor, and we have market. That is a no-brainer. We all know we have those potentials. But like the president of African Development Bank used to say, nobody is potential. We need to have reality on ground. So, a little bit of background too. There is a possibility with the alignment of policy, political economy in Nigeria now, fiscal policy, monetary policy, and a lot of activities taking place. There is a consensus that from this year, 2020, all things considered, agriculture is likely to grow up to 8.37%, contributing up to 21 trillion naira to Nigeria's economy in real constant prices. 21 trillion is big. If you now compare it with the national budget of Nigeria, the federal government budget of 10.3 trillion, you could imagine there's just one subsector of Nigeria. If we get our act together, we can contribute 21 trillion to Nigeria's economy. A lot of factors are in favor for agriculture to grow: government policy, rapid population growth, and a lot of factors you could see there. And then we recently signed the African Continental Free Trade Area Act, which means that the Nigerian market for agricultural commodities beyond Nigeria, in spite of our 200 million people, it means that if we do our act right, we can dominate the African continent because of the factors of production we have. The other thing you should note on that slide is the fact that previous to this administration and this government, if you aggregate all the imports coming into Nigeria, food, feed, and fiber, it's about 22 billion US dollars. With the government policy in place, with all the support we're going to have, we, working with the finance institutions, we will see how we can convert this $22 billion import to become a captive market for Nigeria's agricultural value chain actors. Now, we have four potentials: land, water, labor, and market, but they remain potential. The only way we can convert those potential to actual wealth is for us to unleash four capitals. We need technology capital to do agriculture as a business. We need equipment capital. We need brain capital to do it right. But more importantly, we need that right cycle finance capital. Finance capital is the one that will unleash all these three other capitals. And I'm happy to hear that in this room, Bank of Industry is here, Bank of Agriculture is here, NEXIM Bank are going to play. More importantly, the big brother NEXIM is here. So, ladies and gentlemen, money is not a problem for us at all. Am I right? You didn't answer. You don't need money from NEXIM. There's no problem for us now. It's for us to get a business to go. So what we need is how can we unlock this finance capital from all the banks that I mentioned earlier. NEXIM Bank, Bank of Industry, Bank of Agric, NEXIM, and other commercial banks, to make sure you in this room, you are able to do a business and you get fully financed to do your business right in agriculture. Now, I don't want to go much into this. NEXIM knows this more than us. To do successful exports, we have to cross a lot of hurdles, in spite of all the money we have. I will just leave this to you to read. We all know the problems we are facing in terms of the quality of the export commodities we're exporting from Nigeria. So, what is the role of NIRSAL in this whole conversation? For those of you that don't know much about NIRSAL, NIRSAL is an institution created by the Central Bank of Nigeria with the support of a bankers committee, which is the CEOs of all the banks in Nigeria, and then with the support of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture as the owner of the policy space. So NIRSAL was incorporated in 2013, provided with sufficient capital to do her business, up to $500 million US dollars. And the reason why we have such a huge capital by the central bank is not for us to give out the money, is to give comfort to institutions like NEXIM Bank, like BOI, like all the commercial banks, to give them guarantees to release the money to actors like you. Because ordinarily when you approach a bank, they begin to ask you collateral for a house in Asaba, in Port Harcourt, in Lagos, in Abuja. It's difficult for those in agriculture to be able to have that collateral. So what NIRSAL does, if your project is good, we review it, we issue our guarantees against your project to a company, to a bank like NEXIM, for them to release the money to you. Otherwise, it's difficult to get you people financed because banks have requirements for them to meet up. If you don't have collateral and other things, it's difficult for them to release the money to you. And that is the main essence of NIRSAL. It's a very technical organization. But by saying collateral, I'm sure most of you understand collateral. So essentially, that's what we do through guarantees. So, we cover 5 areas with our financing. Risk sharing, where we issue guarantees, $300 million. Insurance development, $30 million. Technical assistance, rating, and incentive mechanism. As you can see the amounts. Those amounts are not meant for sharing. It's for us to support you to do a successful agribusiness for export so that you can be continuously getting money from the banks. So these monies are meant as capital for NIRSAL. So don't let someone think as I'm walking out of here, MD, you have all these millions, can we get our own share? That is not the way it works, okay? Because if I begin to share that money, if I issue my guarantee to NEXIM Bank now, they will look at my pocket and say, Aliyu, you don't have money, your guarantee is just paper. So we need to preserve that capital so that when I give my guarantee to NEXIM Bank, they can then give you the loan to do your business. I hope it's very clear. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. So, in technical terms, how do we remove risk for you to do successful agribusiness? For every commodity value chain, it doesn't matter whether it's cocoa, palm oil, whatever you do, every commodity has this value chain logic. Upstream, upstream, midstream, and downstream. The most dangerous part for banks to finance, which is very difficult, ladies and gentlemen, is when you want to grow commodities in the field. They find it very difficult to give you money to do that. Why? Because of the issues involved and the risk involved. Largely, people tend to lose money, not in terms of processing and storage, or transportation, or marketing, or trade, or even in input of fertilizer or seed. Why our banks are afraid of losing money is when you go to the farm to produce. This is the riskiest segment, and all of you that do farming, you know that is why the problem is. So what NIRSAL has done is to develop technologies and systems that will enable you to have high yield, low risk, so that when we finance you to produce, there is every likelihood that you will get profit out of it, pay back the loan, and then you are in business. I don't want to bore you, but there is a lot of science and technology involved in doing successful primary production. So how do we increase the availability of commodities? Now, if I go back to that value chain logic, pre-upstream is where you have your tractor, your inputs, your fertilizer, your seed, all the things you need to produce in the field for agriculture, isn't it? Let me jump over that red one, the upstream. Upstream is where you do the farming, the riskiest part. That is where we give the red. Midstream is where you do processing, logistics and wholesale. And downstream is where you do your marketing, your sales, your warehouse, where you store things. Already it has been produced, ready for export. As you can see, if you ask banks, including NEXIM and BOI, to put money in that red one, where it is the most risky, where they can lose money, largely you find that they find it very, very difficult to release money for that segment, where you go to the farm, after 6 months or 8 months or 1 year, nobody knows what will happen. There could be drought, there could be insects, anything can happen, and you lose everything. So banks find it extremely difficult to put their money there. But if you ask banks to give you money to set up machine to process, they can see the machine there, they can see the raw material in store, they can watch you produce and put in store, they have no problem. They take lien on the machine and the asset as a collateral, isn't it? They have no problem with that one. So you can see, it's easy for the banks to finance that one, the yellow, and the green. But when it comes to red, they find it difficult to finance. So, but then if you want to do export, you want to service the export market, which is the last one there. What do you export? Someone has to produce it. Someone has to go to the farm, someone has to farm it, someone has to produce it. You cannot have a successful export except you have the raw material. By design, in the banks like NEXIM and probably BOI, by design, by mandate, they are not supposed to put their money primarily in this primary production part, but they are very comfortable in the midstream, in the processing part, and in the marketing part. So what NIRSAL will do, working with NEXIM and BOI, is to ensure that the millions of Nigerians that are actually involved in primary production, they have the financing, the equipment, the seed, and everything for them to produce the raw material. If there is no material, will there be export? There will be no export. So the whole idea for NIRSAL is to see how can we support primary production of those materials so that there will be processing, there will be export. So, if you go to that place, NIRSAL has developed what we call mapping to markets. The only way we can get money into agriculture and for us to see the money and follow the money is to create a handshake between the fertilizer guy and the farmer, from the seed guy and the farmer, between the farmer and the processor, between the processor and the market. If any link fails between those four, that is the pre-upstream, upstream, midstream, and downstream, you can see those blue arrows. Because if you finance the input man, the mechanization man, the tractor man, you don't finance the farmers to be able to buy this thing. What have you done? You are going to lose your money. If you finance the farmer to produce, and you have not financed the guy who is going to buy from the farmer to process to add value, what have you done? You are going to lose money. If you finance the midstream guy, but you don't finance the exporter, who will buy from the processor to export, you are going to lose money. So the logic is that when you are doing financing for agriculture, you have to carry all 4 actors along. At the same time, make sure all of them have financing. But the kind of financing that you cannot put in your pocket and walk away. When we give you financing as an input supplier, we lock down that money. You don't touch it. We make the farmers to have loans. We lock it down. They don't touch it. We make the processor to have loan. We lock it down. He doesn't touch it. We also make the exporter to have money. But that way, you understand that if you produce, the man next to you will buy. If he produces, the man next to him will buy. In that way, you have what we call circular economy, and everyone is happy. Me, the guarantor, my guarantee will come back. I don't lose money. NEXIM will put money, and their money will come back. They are happy. Everyone is happy along that value chain. But the current situation where you isolatedly finance individuals, you finance a processor without asking, how does he buy the raw material? You finance the trader who buys the raw material without asking, how does the farmer produce? You ask the farmer, you finance the farmer, how do you produce, without thinking the seed guy, the fertilizer guy, and the tractor guy, how does he get financing? We are just going around in cycle, we can never improve. So ladies and gentlemen in this room, if you are in the input market, in the production market, in the processing market, in the export market, we all have to come together as one body and get full financing, and we lock down to each other under what we call the M2M market. I hope you are following. I'm making it as simple as possible. So, how does NIRSAL do what we do? First of all, for every commodity we want to support, all of you to do, in order to access money from NEXIM to do export, first of all, we have to have a market. We will never support financing and issue a guarantee when we know that the market is not established. So the first thing, number one, there is a market-driven approach. We have to have the market locked down. Number two, we cannot just release money to any commodity. That market has to say, this is the kind of commodity we want to buy. Number three, because of the political economy of Nigeria, we have to make sure that millions of smallholder farmers are involved in the production. Otherwise, you will do an agricultural export economy only concentrating on the big companies, isn't it? They are making money while the poor are around them. They are not making any money. That is not good. So we must make sure that the smallholder farmers are also financed. Then, like I said earlier, all the value chain actors have to be integrated together. So I will not bore you into further explanation there, except to say that we have what we call under NIRSAL these commodities that we want to concentrate on. As you can see, the theme of this meeting here is about export. And under export, you could see some commodities there. It's not exhaustive. We just put a sample of 4: hibiscus, sesame, ginger, and shea. All these commodities are also focus commodities for NEXIM Bank. Okay? In the South-South, some of these commodities may not be reflected. So the South-South region might have commodities that we can replace with. But as you can see from there, NIRSAL is ready to support you, to provide guarantees for you for commodities that are specific to the South-South. If these things can grow in the South-South, we're ready to support you as well. The most important thing to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that if you look at this integrated slide, let us start with the top. You could see markets there. What did you see there? Domestic consumer market, domestic industrial market, and export market, isn't it? At the very top. You cannot have a market without commodity going to the market. So in Nigeria, we have 2 options. Either we grow raw material without any value addition we export to the external market, or we put basic value added processing layer there. But to do value added processing, you have to grow the commodities. To grow the commodities, you have to do planting, you have to do irrigation, you have to do seed, you have to do everything. As you can see, those horizontals have to be financed. So like I said earlier, we need to make sure that we have financing for the baseline, that is the smallholder farmer, the seed guy, the fertilizer guy, the tractor guy, they have to be financed in order for them to support the production of these commodities, in order for the processors to have raw material to process, in order for the market to be serviced. So what we are going to ask the banks, including NEXIM, is this. We know that NEXIM may not likely play on those horizontal sides, okay? Commercial banks and the CBN intervention funds are available to support primary production on those horizontal. In value-added processing, we will work very closely with NEXIM to see who are those that will buy the raw materials and do value-added processing there. So money is available there, and NIRSAL will guarantee that money. Those that are doing the trading and the marketing and the export, money is available for them, and they can also take guarantee from NIRSAL. But the most important thing to note is that you cannot do value-added processing, you cannot do this until you produce the raw material. And therefore, this slide combines all that I've said earlier in one slide. As you can see on the vertical, financing opportunity must be made available for the top, for the middle, and for the bottom. But how do you get farmers to produce successfully if they are scattered? The problem with Nigerian agriculture primary production and in Africa is the fact that farmers are operating on small and bits of land all over the place, no coordination, 0.1 of a hectare, 0.3 of a hectare, one family subdividing their piece of land into so tiny that it is difficult to extend financing to that. What NIRSAL has done is what we call the geo-cooperative concept. All of you know about cooperatives, right? Where friends and family can form a what? A cooperative. But that will not work for finance for agriculture. It has to be geo. And what does geo mean? You all know geography, right? Geo has to do with land. It is the farm that makes you a cooperative member, not because I love you or because you are my friend. Because when we are financing, we are not financing you as a human being, we are financing your productive asset. So first of all, our main contention is that farmers must come together neighbor to neighbor, neighbor to neighbor, to form at least what we call a geo-cooperative cell of 10 hectares. In the southern part of Nigeria, it's difficult to get like 1,000 hectares in one place, or 250 hectares in one place, or even 100 hectares. So we have gone as low as 10 hectare cell, whereby if you know that you want financing, talk to your neighbor. We will show you how to do it. At least form 10 hectare cells. But if you can also form 50 hectare block, that is even better. If you can form 250 hectare geo-cooperative, that is even best. Because for me, if all of you can come together neighbor to neighbor, not in terms of your household, in terms of your farm in the field. If you can put for me 250 hectares together, it means I can create a loan of about 50 to 65 million naira for you as one unit. Do you understand? One unit of loan. I'm not going to be creating a loan of 50,000, 100,000, 150,000. It is difficult for banks to finance that kind of ticket. But if you as a community can, we will give you a template on how to do it. If you can give me 250 hectares together, all right, it means that I can treat it as one single ticket. I can get money for you. I can get one market for you. You can produce one commodity for me that NEXIM will finance. Do you understand how it works? Otherwise, it will not work. So the geo-cooperative model, not cooperative, geo-cooperative is the way to go. So after NEXIM, NIRSAL too is going to go around the whole country to sell idea of the geo-cooperative. Once you have geo-cooperative, what it means that, ladies and gentlemen, all of you will grow a single commodity for a single buyer at a single price that is agreed, and even the input you are getting, you don't have to suffer. Because by the time you form a geo-coop, do you understand? Geo-coop plus geo-coop plus geo-coop, you have 1,000 hectares. We NIRSAL can get a whole fertilizer company to come and sit down with you. You can negotiate price. A whole tractor company can come and say, so these people are together, there is one place, and the money is sitting down. Can I come and provide plowing and harrowing without you giving a kobo? You don't have to give one kobo, because that loan we create for you, we'll put the tractor money on one side, the fertilizer money on one side, the seed money on one side, and all these companies, the fertilizer companies, the seed companies, the tractor, once they see that you people have money, you don't have to beg them. They will all come and provide that service, take NIRSAL guarantee. By the time they provide service, you, the farmers, will sign invoice that yes, we have got the seed, we have got the service. They will come to the bank, take the money and walk away. You people have got service. And before you even produce, you know that you are producing for NEXIM because there is an exporter waiting. Even before you produce, the price at which you are going to produce would have known. So farmers now will be engaged with the global export market, and there will be no middleman, because we will give you the exact price at which you will get for your commodity. Do you understand? That is why NIRSAL is working on creating what we call geo-cooperatives, about 16,000 geo-cooperatives, involving 8 million farmers on 4 million hectares of land. So under our geo-cooperative, we are moving on average, a farmer having 0.5 of a hectare. Isn't it on average? 0.5 of a hectare. So you can imagine if a portion of that geo-cooperative can be dedicated to some export commodities. Without doing that, ladies and gentlemen, millions of Nigerian farmers, you will not get financing. So I hope we are going to work together on that one. Now, the other thing we have done is to use satellite companies and some European companies as partners to be able to map the whole of Nigeria per commodity. It is pointless, for example, for me to approach NEXIM, for you to approach NEXIM, say you want to do cocoa production or palm oil production in Yobe State. Is it possible? But if you approach NEXIM and say you want to do cocoa production or palm oil in which state? Edo State, right? Delta State. It makes it possible. But if you tell me you want to do sesame or you want to do wheat in Bayelsa State, you know it's not possible. But if you tell me you want to do wheat or some grain in Jigawa or Kano State, you know it's possible, right? So what NIRSAL has done, apart from the GeoCorp, is to map the whole country per commodity. You can see here, cashew and ginger as an example. If you are going to approach NIRSAL for guarantee or NEXIM Bank for money or any bank for money for export, and you say you want to do cashew, the first thing we will do, we'll ask you, Jay, you want to do cashew? Are you in the cashew belt? Are you in the natural place where cashew can grow best? So we bring out our map and then we point to those basic states, as you can see there. We're not saying that you cannot grow cashew in Borno. Go and try. But you will not see NEXIM money or NIRSAL guarantee help you to grow cashew in Borno. Because nature, even God has not given the possibility for cashew to grow in Borno, right? So why don't we support cashew farmers in the cashew belt that God has given? So what we have done for every commodity in Nigeria, we created these maps. You can see cashew, this is the natural belt for cashew. Ginger, this is the natural belt for ginger, okay? And we have done it for about 19 commodities. And this thing was used, we used satellite imaging, we used validation from European international satellite, we used all the research institutes in Nigeria to validate it. We walked to every single state and talked with the traditional farmers to tell us, truly, are you traditionally growing these commodities? It took us over 1.5 years to validate this. And we have these maps available for all of you. So for those of you in Delta State, you will find that some of the commodities you want to grow are also here. So we will support you on that one. Now I'm moving towards almost the end. So how do we facilitate? How do we actually support you to get money from NEXIM Bank to do what you want to do? The most important, like I say, is the collateral we give, isn't it? I just want to make a simple collateral, but we call it credit risk guarantee. What NIRSAL does, for all of you in the primary production, the farming part, you can take up to 75% guarantee from NIRSAL. I'm sure all of you don't have a house in Maitama. Do you have a house in Maitama? Okay, maybe all of you have in Abuja. Do you have a house in Abuja? NEXIM. It's like, I have no problem here. All of them have houses in Lagos and Maitama. They don't need my guarantee. Abi? Because you didn't talk now. So if you need money from NEXIM, we are ready to support you, provided you can cooperate yourself, geo-cooperate, organize yourselves with our support. Don't worry, we will help you do it. You don't have to do it on your own. We have what we call technical assistance. We'll spend our money, national money, to make sure you do all those things. So, yes, clap for me, please. Thank you. Yeah, all this work that we said we are going to do, we are set up by the central bank. Is that our boss there? Is that Mr. Paul? Oh, okay, I thought it was my former boss, Mr. Paul. So all this work we want you to do is not as if you are going to do on your own, because you wouldn't know how to do it. We have offices in all the Central Bank of Nigeria branch, and we'll give you a template and we'll hold your hand to make sure you do it right, okay? And we will spend our money to organize you to do it right. Because getting money is not easy. Someone has to spend money to organize you. So we'll make sure that you get 75% guarantee from NIRSAL if you are producing. You get, the second one is mechanization, right? If you're in tractor service or in processing, all that equipment you buy to process, you get 75% guarantee. Processing is 50%. You can see the other ones. If you're a trader, we don't have risk with you because we can control the money in your hand, right? But we give you low guarantee there. But the most important one is why millions of Nigerians are, that is the farmer, so you get 75% guarantee. And therefore, if we put NEXIM in the middle of this slide, sorry, I think I have to rely on this. In the middle of this slide, if we put NEXIM as the owner of the money, so what do we want NEXIM to do for us in order to make this conference very useful to us so that it doesn't become a talk show, okay? If we put NEXIM in the middle, we know that NEXIM may not play, but the MD is here, may not play on the input side of giving you the fertilizer, the seed, and the mechanization, even though we're going to talk with them to see how we can integrate this. We know for sure NEXIM may not give money directly in primary production. Am I right? But if you look at the midstream, that is midstream, right? Where you have the processor, the processing machine, and the raw material. That is the main mandate of NEXIM, to give you money to buy the equipment and to give you money to buy the working capital. But to do that, they need to have comfort that even you, the processor, that you are secured enough to make sure you do use their money and you pay them back. So basically, what are they looking for? They are looking for the fact that you have to have the capacity to it. If you don't have it, we, NIRSAL, will help you build that capacity at our cost. Do I have a clap? By design, they do have technical skills. That's why you see I'm here working together with them. We will assist you to have the capacity to borrow that money and use it well. So, we also need to know that the cost element, the way you model your business, your cost is lower than your revenue because we want to make sure you make a profit. Our people are very good in saying they want to do things, but when it comes to financial analysis, to put revenue, to put cost, to see profit in between, they don't know how to do it. They think business in all commerce affair. I can tell you, we and NEXIM will look at your numbers to see whether your cost is higher than your revenue. When your cost is higher than your revenue, do you have a business? You don't have a business. We will always make sure your cost is lower than your revenue, okay? Because that way, then you have a chance of financing. Then we give you our guarantee on top of that. So we can expect that we are going to work with NEXIM in the midstream as well as the downstream on the export financier side as well. So at least we have a key takeaway. When we have that kind of opportunity, you can take guarantee from NIRSAL, we can technically assist you, and you can take the money from NEXIM Bank. So far, what NIRSAL has done, NIRSAL is just about 4 years old from the central bank when we came out. So far, NIRSAL has been able to, under our guarantee, make banks to give money to agricultural actors across Nigeria to the tune of 121 billion. You saw 102 billion there. That is as of second quarter of 2019. Okay? As of the end of 2019, NIRSAL has been able to get bankers to finance agri to the tune of 121 billion without losing up to 1% of our money. It's extremely important that we don't lose our money because the truth is, if I give guarantee to NEXIM Bank, they give you money, and I don't monitor your project, I don't ensure that you pay that money, you know what will happen? Madam Stella here will go and knock my door and say, oh yeah, MD, pay us now, the project has failed. And I'll have to pay. So if I pay today, I pay tomorrow, I pay day after tomorrow, will there be NIRSAL? There will be no NIRSAL. So that is why, if the bank finance you, we stay with you and your project to make sure you're successful. And that is important, so that my guarantee, I don't pay. If I keep paying, I will not exist again, isn't it? So, as you can see, we have less than 1% loss because we keep an eye on that project 365 days of the year, all right, to make sure it doesn't fail. We are also working with the insurance industry. You all know the problem with the insurance industry. They are very good. I'm not castigating them or if they're here. They are very good in taking premium, but when it comes to time for them to pay, when you have problems, do they pay? Naturally, they don't pay. But thank God, the new management of Nigerian Agri-Insurance Corporation for Agriculture, they have a new mindset altogether. We're working very closely with them to ensure that they get proper premium, but when there's disaster, they also pay. We make sure they pay you, okay? So we are working with NICOM and them to make sure new products are developed. We are also providing technical assistance. Remember I said, all this work that I want you farmers to do, you don't have to spend your money. It is our job to spend our money to make sure that you are eligible to get financing from NEXIM. And then NIRSAL also, because of the success we have had in the last 4 years, many African governments are also approaching us to set up a similar institution for them. We have done a similar one in Togo successfully. A lot of governments, Uganda, Rwanda, and the rest are approaching us to do a similar thing. But I think the prophet has to prove his prophethood at home first before he goes somewhere, Abi. So we are going to prove it with Delta farmers, with South-South farmers. In conclusion, we want collaboration between the value chain actors and NIRSAL with the support of our tools so that we can get money into the agricultural value chain. All of us have to come together. It's not the work of NEXIM alone. It's not the work of NIRSAL alone. It's also the work of state governments. When we engage with you, we're not going to leave you alone. We can meet a governor. Me and MD of NEXIM, we can sit with any governor and say, Mr. Governor, this is what we're bringing to your people. They have to grow out of poverty. They have to make money in their pocket. But we want you to do A, B, C, D, E, F, right? On your own, you cannot be able to do it. As institutions, we can make them do it. Mr. Governor, if you're able to do A, B, C, D, E for your people, we, the guarantor and the financier, we can come in and support them to do their business, okay? So we do state engagement as well. As you can see, it is not a one-man show at all. And you can see the wisdom in NEXIM Bank inviting all stakeholders to this forum. There's a reason behind it. It takes a whole village to make this thing to work. And so therefore, for us to do a successful primary production, we have to have modular processing. I understand that Afrexim is putting down about $1 billion to support export. But the question you want to ask yourself, how can we chop out of that $1 billion? Or do you know how to chop it? Nobody wants to ask how, because all of you have been hearing $1 billion since yesterday, isn't it? Have you heard about $1 billion? There has to be technical steps for you to access that $1 billion. And that technical step is no more than doing primary production, that is farming, that is very good, doing processing, that is very good, and servicing the export market. And therefore, what NIRSAL has done is we have created what we call the embedded modular processing cluster. What we want is that wherever there is production of a commodity, we don't want to carry that raw material 1,000 kilometers to Lagos for processing. We want to make sure around the farm area where you have clusters, we make sure that we have processing embedded in there, because that way you can cut the cost of transport, isn't it? You cut a lot of cost. So we have developed that model, and we're going to share it with Bank of Industry and Commercial Bank, such that all primary producers, that is farmers, when they produce, just next door to them, you find a processor embedded there. And some of you will think about electricity. Don't worry about electricity. Today, the technology of electricity has so advanced that we can get a captive power supplier to provide power to that cluster of processors. You don't even need grid electricity, okay? So the farm, the processor, the electricity, the packaging company, all of them will be in one place. You don't need transport. The only thing you transport out of that place is the final commodity that goes for export. And so we have developed that model. We are going to share it with NEXIM and other banks as well. And we are going to call on state governments, like I said, they have to do their own work, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, all of you belong to one state or the other. And the chief executive of that state is the governor. There are a lot of things we'll make the governors to do to enable you to enjoy this. So a lot of activities will be done by the state. We are going to work with other agencies of government to give you capacity like SMEDAN. And we're going to make sure that we bring out money from NEXIM Bank, from Afrexim, from BOA, BOI, and all other owners of money for your benefit. And so, what do we want to do? All exporters are invited to join this conversation. All actors, producers, mechanization service providers, processors, they are invited. NEXIM and all other banks are invited. And the federal government agencies are also going to be invited. Like I said, it takes all four around to make sure we make a success. I can assure you, with all the presentations from our partner NEXIM, they alone cannot be able to pull it off until all of us join them to support them to pull it off. Otherwise, they are not further Christmas. They cannot release their money. I'm telling you, until all of us come together to make sure that they release their money successfully. Okay? So, transaction dynamics. Typically, when we want to work with NEXIM Bank for your benefit, we go through these steps, step by step by step by step by step. I'm sure you'll get the template from NEXIM Bank, but we also have that template. Now, when you have project, we'll walk you through that process, and you can get a share of that. I don't want to go into it, but when your project is ready, these are the step 1 to 7 that you'll go through to get money from NEXIM and to get guarantee from NIRSAL, and therefore, thank you. So I try to be aggressive.
The man is a dynamite. Let's put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen. Let me also say here, sir, I'm saying this on your behalf. I'm sure you're not leaving us now. In case you have questions, write it and we'll present it to him. His men, huh? Is that what? Okay, sir, MD, they say you should come back. Some people are waving to me in the audience that they want to speak with you now. We will take 4 questions. We'll take 4 questions. 2 from this side, 2 from this other side. 2 male, 2 female. And we identify yourself straight to the question. Sir, you're number 1. I need somebody at the middle here. You're number 2. Somebody here. Do we have a lady already here? No, 2 men. So these 2 should be women. Where's a woman? Where are you? I can't see you, my eyes. Okay, you're number 3, and then another woman. The lady in pink at the back, you're number 4. Now, okay, can we give you a microphone? Can we give him a microphone, please? Okay, we have one. Okay, come and use mine. Come and use mine, please. Okay, you're fine? Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Chuk Sabuno. I'm the director of Ada Greenfield Agro Enterprise. Luckily for me, the first lecture this morning is in our area because we also do NIRSAL project. I believe that since NIRSAL came on board 2013, and Delta State has benefited in your activities so far, but we have a very, very major challenge, and I'm happy you mentioned it here today. I've quarreled with most of your staff, both in Asaba here and Abuja, concerning land preparation, sir. In the upstream production, that is the primary production level, we have a very major challenge, especially in this South-South region. You know, our land, our area is forest area, and what you have in the north is almost a desert. But your policy starts from cultivation, but the land preparation is where we have problems. Now, we need a lot of money to invest in clearing the land, make it available for tractors to work on. So, and it's a very huge project, which the farmers you describe here cannot afford. So we need the government, NIRSAL, and every other partner in this agribusiness investment to look into this area for the poor farmers in South-South region. Thank you, sir. And secondly, the second question, or let me say comment, the projects we have here, you've said everything in theory here, but when it comes to practical, we found out that there are so many challenges. We have 2 farms here in Delta State presently that NIRSAL has taken up, but at Abraka, we have about 1,000 hectares for maize farming. They started it up last year, but as I'm talking to you now, it was an incomplete project. So I think you have to liaise with your people to know we don't want to have such failure anymore. Whatever that costs it, because we still have so many geo clusters, around that are waiting to tap into the NIRSAL project in this year's project. So please, whatever is the issue concerning payment of the tractor vendors, the seed suppliers, the fertilizer suppliers, please make sure you have a robust and a very sound, effective logistics to ensure that the problems we encountered in the past does not surface this year again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sir, would you like to take all? Okay, all right.
This one works? All right. So thank you for your questions, very specific. Let me explain about land development in southern part of the country, because it's forested area, including the Guinea Savannah, the middle of Nigeria, including Abuja. From Abuja down, Lokoja, Edo, and the rest is the same issue. You cannot compare the Savannah and the Sahel with the southern part of the country because of the forest nature. Now, any effort to do, sorry sir, is not land preparation, it's land development. Land preparation is the easier one, where you plow and harrow and plant, right? That's the easier one, but you have to have land development before you do land preparation. What you're talking about is land development from virgin or green field, isn't it? To remove the forest. Now, federal government has done some approaches like NALDA, National Agri-Land Development Authority. A lot of state governments have also attempted to do land development, but I can assure you, land development is highly capital intensive, it's a technical issue, it's difficult for governments to even put money behind it because a lot of issues are there, but there is a solution. This entire land development can be converted to a business that can be invested in and money can be recovered at a profit. What we have done in NIRSAL just recently, we have developed a business model called SCARS, Smallholder-Based Commercial Agricultural Sites and Services. If you go to real estate, they do what is called sites and services, isn't it? What happens is that some real estate developers, all they do is to clear the place, do road, do drainage, put pole wire, right? And do the wiring. And then they give you the plot and they sell all the plot to you. Or in some cases, you develop your house on that plot and you keep giving rental for that land for the rest of the project's life. We have also adopted a similar thing, and we have spoken with some key companies in Brazil, in Europe, and in Nigeria here, say, look, is it possible if I give you 1,000 hectares with certificate of occupancy from a state government like Delta, which is a common problem in Ondo State. Yesterday I was with the governor of Ondo State, the same problem, all of you have the same problem. If a governor can give us 1,000 hectares for the smallholder farmers like you, okay, which is full of bush, what we will do, we will use that certificate of occupancy as a collateral for the asset. We will then develop a business model and we get financing for that company to develop that forest into an asset. They will clear that forest, create the road network, put fence around it, and parcel it out hectare by hectare. Then farmers will be brought into that entire 1,000 hectares, and nobody will ask you to pay for that thing upfront. Each time you produce a commodity on it, in your cost of production, land rental value will be added there. So the owner of that land that he has developed, who has a certificate of occupancy at least for 15 to 25 years, normally when we take that certificate of, I think it's 99 years. So even if it is a private owned land, we have also created a possibility for individual society that have 500 hectares, 1,000 hectares. You know, a lot of our ex-governors, ex-ministers, obas and obis and chiefs, they have those lands, but they don't know what to do with it. And here we are complaining of no farming land. So what we have done is to propose that model to give to state governments to give land. Even individuals can give land, but what is in it? Each time our farmers produce, sure they are making money, they pay rental for that land. They pay in the first year, they pay in the second year, they pay in the third year. In our model, by the time they enter the fourth year and fifth year, the entire cost that that company has used to develop that land will have recovered. And that guy will be in profit for the next 30 years. It's a good business model. And why would that happen? Because we, NIRSAL, will give guarantee to the developer to get money to do that land development. And you farmers, you don't have to pay anything that will sweat you. That little amount that they charge you, just like your rental. Most of you stay in a rented house, isn't it? What's the difference between a rented house and your farm? A rented house does not make money for you. It eats money from you. But a rented land farm makes money for you, isn't it? So this is the model we want to do. If we wait for governments, whether federal or state, to do that, we will spend the whole of our lifetime because of competing demand on the meager resources of the government. So it has to be a business-driven model. So for example, if NEXIM wants a certain commodity, they are ready to finance a certain commodity. We can work with them, with Bank of Industry and other banks, to surround that investor and clear even 10,000 hectares of land, 20,000 hectares of land. Because within 4 to 5 years, this investor will have recovered his money and you guys will remain on that land. I hope it's making sense to you. So this is the way we want to approach it. And when you talk about theory and practical, and about, I think there's a bit of confusion. See, when our staff go to work with you to form geo-cooperative, we in NIRSAL, we don't own the money. I'm sure you are referring to anchor borrower financing for those farmers. Because that is the central bank window. We are part of central bank, but we are also participating in financial. If we work with you, we organize the farmers, and you have not seen any activity, it's likely that the processing in CBN is taking longer than usual. But the central bank now has made it quite easy. So I can assure you from this year going forward, you will see that we are going to prepare you well in advance of the rainfall so that the money goes into your account. Because without money in your account, how can you pay the tractor guy? How can you pay the seed guy? How can you pay the fertilizer guy? The most important thing is for us to get the money into your accounts. That is the most important thing, okay? You will accuse us when the money enters your account and we don't pay your supplier. That is why we have a problem. But let's all work together. The central bank has made it easy. I'm sure from this year, monies will come in faster to your accounts and we can pay for this. Next set of questions. Okay.
Give him a microphone. Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ambassador Mayor Chinedu Enojeko. By the grace of God, I'm the immediate past #1 youth of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So coming from the youth constituency, everything you said here, they are so beautiful, but I have a very big problem with it. The problem is, sometimes we started a youth farm. The idea when I was president of the youth farm is to engage the young people in a profitable venture. So we began to cultivate cassava. I'm from the upper land of Delta State. I'm not from where there's oil. What we plant in my village is cassava and yam. And we have about just 10 hectares of land as the merge from family contributions of land as young people that we can put together. So now, what you have said here is, if we come together as a geo-cooperative, you said we need the approval of the governor to give us C of O to make our land authentic and qualify for loan. Now, you see, sir, my challenge there is, in my local government.
No, sir, let me save your breath. I didn't say at a cooperative level you need C of O.
Okay.
No, that's not what I'm referring to the big land the government will give to an investor to do land development as a business. So as a co-op, all you need is to get certificate for a geo-cooperative. That's all I need.
Where would that certificate be secured from?
All cooperatives are giving, there is no way you can do cooperative without a Ministry of Cooperative giving certificate. If you go to Ministry of Cooperative now, you get, as long as you are cooperative. Am I right? Getting certificate.
Okay. I think you've cleared my point that at a cooperative level, you don't need a CO.
Just get certified as a cooperative, that's all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, madam, wait. Just wait. You are chairman of a local government. We will come to you. You will wrap up our thing. That's number 2. Number 3 on this side. Where's the lady that stood up? Let's get the microphone to her.
I'm Mrs. Patience Etari Dafiokoma. I'm the state chairman of Nigerian Association of Small-Scale Industrialists. Now that NIRSAL has decided to be our parents, there is an issue I want the office to address. That is, when you talked of fertilizers, the first time I tried to export to the US, they gave me a checklist of moisture content, chemical content.
This guy, shift, please.
He said they gave me a long list, moisture content, chemical content, and other things. So I think the just using fertilizers is not the whole deal. I think the office should create a special department that will assist the farmers. Like for instance, I want to initiate a project and a new project. I'm already in processing of some projects, I have NAFDAC. But I want to introduce a new project, which I don't know details of. I think if I want to employ the farmers, I want to contact the farmers, produce this product for me. I should know, they should know whether they will use organic fertilizer or non-organic fertilizer. Because the type of fertilizer that will be used will affect the final product. I think this is an issue you people should look into, not just using fertilizer, because this occasion where so many of our products are rejected, we cannot continue like that. So I want you to look into that small, very important, basic foundational issue and be ready to advise us rightly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Patience. This is a very relevant question, and Jamin, and I take note of it. So what will happen is that we will, under our business development services, under our technical assistance, we have to consider that if an exporter is able to get an export market and is validated, but there's a set of requirements, I think it's mandatory, it behoves us, we, and even working with NEXIM, to ensure under our technical assistance pillar, I'm sure, MD, I think you have TA support as well, to make those businesses to be investment ready. So, Madam, this is a very important question, and I think me and MD of NEXIM are going to work together to ensure that if there's a viable business, you are sure you have got to market, I think it is worth our while to technically assist the value chain that you are supporting with the specific requirement, with our support to make sure that what is not required is not inside, what is required is inside. I think that's the only way we can make it successful. I think MD is something we can take a note of.
Thank you very much.
That's very good, yes, thank you.
Thank you. And so, Madam, you've helped us. You are the one in pink over there. Thank you. So, collect the microphone. Chairman, don't worry. You'll wrap up this session.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank the organizers of this program. I'm very grateful to be here. I've learned so much since yesterday. And my question is concerning SMEs like me. I'm a livestock farmer. And I had so much information about what the organization is doing, but my plea is concerning startup businesses like mine. Do we have capacity building for startup businesses like us? We have great business ideas and potentials, but we need capacity building. Because I remember the remarks of the governor yesterday when he rightly said that if you are giving money without capacity building, you will end up wasting that money. So that is what I'm pleading for. Are there opportunities for startup businesses like us that have great export ideas and great export potentials? Thank you very much.
Madam, the straight answer is yes. And I'm here with some of my staff here, okay? This is something that will be implemented immediately under what we call business development service provision at our cost. So what we'll likely do is that in our website and portal, in fact we were just talking about it, you can upload greenfield business ideas. We'll invite you to analyze it. One thing you should make sure of, and this also applies to NEXIM, we as two institutions, we are not here to just throw away, even no matter how rough, if there's sincerity in your idea and you are sure you have some of the fundamentals, our job is to ensure that you fill in the gaps to succeed. Don't forget, if each of you in this room is successful, what does it mean for the Nigerian economy? It means we are producing and each of you is earning money and Nigerian economy succeeds. So, Madam, what she has said applies to all of you. If there is a business dev idea that has to do with export, by all means, we are going to make sure you upload it so that we can do a basic review, then invite you, because this is not even a branch level thing. We'll invite you, or we can set up a zonal thing. We'll sit with all those greenfield ideas and see how we can guide you, technically assist you to perfect the ideas that you have. It's something we're going to do. MD, I'm sure you're taking note, and I'm sure MD will make comments on some of these things. But definitely, we are designed to do that kind of support, capacity building. Thank you.
So, MD, sir, to also tell you that MD, thinking about it, tomorrow is capacity building, right here on the third day. And so, everybody who is here can attend tomorrow, and technical people will take care of some of these issues.
Yeah, sir. There is the capacity building at a project level.
Okay.
This is what concerns them. So individual projects in different parts of the country, we are going to make sure they upload it, but this is more tactical. They will sit with us and we handhold them through that. But I'm sure what the NEXIM will do is to give the broad spectrum of the kind of capacity building.
Okay.
Yeah.
So finally, because we can't take all the questions, the chairman of Ethiop East will make it short because you broke protocol, but because you're a big woman, will allow you. So take your question now.
Thank you, sir. I feel so bad that the NASA project, NASA Man project at Abraka, which is within my local government, has failed because, one, the farmers, the people that were used, workers that were used for planting, they were not paid. And because they were not paid, nothing could go on. Now the maize there, it's a maize project, has grown, nobody can harvest them, all wasted effort. And recently we heard that you guys are coming to remove the implements. Of course, those farmers were used because the tractor had issues with NASA. But now you want to remove those implements, the farmers have not been paid, the project has failed, the maize, they are grown, nobody can harvest. I want to know the way forward because people come to me and I need to talk to them. Thank you so much, sir.
So I don't have particulars about the Abraka project, but one thing is clear, NIRSAL is not a producer, we are not farmers, we are not processors, we are not exporters, we are not involved directly as NIRSAL project. It's possible that the Abraka farmers were organized under Anchor Borrower financing arrangement. It's very possible. Yes, ma'am. Do we have the head of the office of this thing? Okay, we will not take up this time. Madam, what we will do, listen, we will sort you out. This is the head of the office. I'm sure you know him. All right, we will take that up so that we don't these are tactical issues we can deal with. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate this amazing man as a step down. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen,